everyone. Welcome to the 5th episode of Scope. I'm your host, Carol Kidu Jr. To remove itself from the grey list, Papua New Guinea has 2.5 years to meet the 18 conditions given by the Financial Action Task Force. Co-chair of the National Coordinating Committee and Secretary of the Department of Justice and Attorney General, Dr. Eric Kwar, outlined this during a session that was conducted at the PNG University of Technology in Lae.
On Friday, February 13, 2026, Papua New Guinea was officially placed on the Financial Action Task Force grey list due to strategic deficiencies in countering money laundering and terrorism financing. While everyone has heard of the grey list, only a few know what it entails and what it means for the country. Members of the National Coordinating Committee, including representatives from the 23 state agencies responsible for enforcement, supervision, intelligence, prosecution, and policy, conducted a question and answer session with students and staff from the PNG University of Technology on the evening of Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. Co-chair of the National Coordinating Committee and Secretary of the Department of Justice and Attorney General, Dr. Eric Kwar, when introducing the topic, likened grey listing to a wake-up call for the country to strengthen its anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing, and counter-proliferation financing effectiveness. Dr. Kwar and the Director of the Financial Analysis and Supervision Unit, or FASU, of the Bank of Papua New Guinea, Wilson Onea, attended the 5th Financial Action Task Force plenary that was hosted in Mexico from February 11th to 13th, 2026.
So when we went to Mexico and came back with the results, we came back with 18 conditions. People got 18 conditions, but people must meet him. And we have been given almost 2.5 years. 2.5 years to meet those conditions. And for my side, from the law and justice sector, some of those conditions they've given us, you have to amend some of your laws. Your laws you have passed, but there are a couple of gaps in those laws, please amend them. So we are proposing those amendments as part of those conditions that we need to meet. They have told us, okay, online by prosecution, online by investigation of police, online by public prosecutor, online by ICAC, work together and prosecute them supply line. Okay, and people work start, then by come up. So those are ongoing actions that we would normally take anyway. Please me, like Claire tonight, there is no confusion, there is no shock. We have been on this journey as a system, as a government, and we are very mindful of this.
Opposition leader James Nomane had outlined the impact of grey listing, saying it could manifest in ways including an increase in cost of living, access to financial services, economic instability, and reputational damage to public services.
We are fragile right now. The higher risk premiums increasing borrowing costs further, adding pressure to already strained fiscal space. Inflation risks rise as foreign exchange becomes tighter and transaction costs increase. For the average citizen, this translates into higher costs of goods and services in public service. Food, fuel, medicine, school fees, and essential goods, all the prices will go up. And wages will remain the same. The people will feel the pinch. When reform warnings are issued repeatedly over nearly a decade and remain uncorrected, it is simply reckless to dismiss grey listing as a short-term effect.
In his address to heads of departments before the opposition's response, Prime Minister James Marape emphasized the government's commitment to improving transparency, accountability, and compliance within public financial management and service delivery. He reassured citizens that the government is taking proactive steps to enhance its compliance with international standards, thereby aiming to earn back trust and confidence in Papua New Guinea's financial systems.
Work and work. All of you do not need to be lectured on MTDB4. By this July 7th, will be 10th year in which we've launched MTDB4 here. So for those, especially those who are continuing office, by 31st of March, what you have delivered to expectations of government through MTDB4 that encapsulates this Pango administration's vision must be reported to your minister, to cabinet, to the minister, and to parliament.
Marape said with the legal and institutional architecture now in place, the responsibility lies with implementing agencies to fully exercise their statutory mandates. The 23 agencies involved in executing the action plan, which sets out specific benchmarks and timelines aimed at strengthening PNG's systems, include the Bank of PNG, the Departments of Finance, Foreign Affairs, Justice and Attorney General, the Independent Commission Against Corruption, the Internal Revenue Commission, and the Royal PNG Constabulary. Dr. Kwa said the issues of corruption and money laundering can be addressed by everyone and not just our political leaders. Everyone needs to be compliant with the rules and regulations that are in existence.
So I do not think that it's a problem for only the leaders. It's not the only problem for the members of parliament. And problem with me too. Me also, me departmental head or leader to sit down. And problem with me Plaukata. But how can we make it better? Let's strengthen it. And that's what the people that you saw tonight, that's what we're talking every quarter. We get the reports, we talk to the agency. Hey, Securities Commission, what are you doing? We're getting the reports. What are you doing? IPA, we got a report here. How are you fixing that process? ICAC, we're hearing the stories. What are you doing? Police Commissioner, what are you doing with this report? We're getting reports. So we hold ourselves accountable. And that's why we meet on a quarterly basis to ensure that things are working.
The acting commissioner of the Independent Commission Against Corruption, Thomas Elu, supported Dr. Kwa's statement.
In so many ways, people tend to think that it's a bad thing for the country. It's a wake-up call for the country, for us to improve our systems and processes, particularly in our financial systems. I think where there is money, that's where corruption thrives around it. So I think the issue of how we can address this is everybody needs to work together, including yourselves. I think you know a lot more stories about people who are stealing, people who are doing things that are wrong. But for obvious reasons, one-talk system, nepotism, clientelism, and all of this, you are keeping those informations that we need in order to clean our country.
You're watching Scope. After the break, Bob Bates honored for 40 years of championing Papua New Guinea's culture and tourism landscape. Last April, Bob Bates was presented with the 2025 National Tourism Lifetime Achievement Award in recognition of Mr. Bates' lifelong commitment to developing and promoting tourism in Papua New Guinea. Trans-New Guinea Tours Papua New Guinea, Rondon Ridge, Ambua Lodge, and Karawari Lodge are some of his contributions to promoting the country's diverse cultures and wild landscape. A night in the making, Bob Bates is, and rightly so, after 40 years of championing tourism in Papua New Guinea. Veteran journalist John Eggins produced this short documentary as tribute to Mr. Bates.
Singled out as a special person
Papua New Guinea's pioneer tour operator, aviator, and entrepreneur, Bob Bates, has been knighted under the 2026 New Year's Imperial Honours List. Originally from New South Wales in Australia, Bob, now aged 86, has lived a life singularly devoted to this country, and his contributions to Papua New Guinea have been loud, very loud. Prime Minister James Marape is expected to formally announce the award at the end of March at the launch of Bob Bates' memoir, Wings of a Wild. Mr. Marape unexpectedly ran into Mr. Bates at Ambur Lodge in mid-February in Tari in the Hela province.
Just not everybody else, but you like to do things yourself. So. He deserves great commendations. As Prime Minister, I'm privileged to be placed on record, representing the 7 Prime Ministers before me and myself, and those who will come into the future on such fine Papua New Guineans, who are not born Papua New Guineans, but who choose to be Papua New Guineans. Mr. Bob Bates, now Sir Bob Bates.
Always good to see you, James.
That recognition is for his devotion to developing the tourism industry, as well as engineering, aviation, culture, and business. Bob Bates' connection with the people and their diverse cultures, his affinity for Papua New Guinea's flora and fauna, led him to set up what is a highly successful inbound Trans-New Guinea tours. Today, the tour company oversees 7 luxury wilderness lodges in 5 provinces. These are prime tourism products that are environmentally friendly and culturally sensitive. In keeping with that, Bob Bates has built a new cultural center at Rondon Ridge near Mount Hagen, opened during the country's 50th. It's a laboratory for Papua New Guinea's cultures for the future generations. His other lodges also depict and preserve cultures. Karawari Lodge makes its own statement on Sepik artifacts. The cruise boat Sepik Spirit is the Tambaran house, literally. Lake Murray and Benchback offer wildlife and fishing experiences. Ambur Lodge, now 40 years old, is still the best sleep in the wild. Bob Bates has also built a 12-kilometer road from Mount Hagen to Rondon Ridge, opening access and opportunities to dozens of villages. As well as engineering, tourism, and entrepreneurship, Bob Bates' other passion is in aviation. Using his own plane, he has flown to all the continents of the world except Antarctica and has crisscrossed Papua New Guinea many times, celebrating 50 continued years in 2023.
We were not only close to the Chinese border, but also quite close to the North Korean border.
The pinnacle was the record-breaking around-the-world trip in 2024. At age 84, Bob and his New Zealand flying partner Barry Payne, 78, reenacted the centenary of the historic first flight around the world 100 years previous. They started and ended the round trip from Mount Hagen in Papua New Guinea in a single-engine Piper Comanche. Bob Bates' inspiring life is now retold by Barry Payne, who is also an adventure aviator and writer. Barry, who's written Bob's memoir, Wings of a Wild, says the inspiring life of Bob Bates is far from ordinary and deserves to be told. Aviation is centrally important to Bob's life. This theme is celebrated in Wings of a Wild to be launched by the Prime Minister on the 29th of March at Rondon. It is during that launch that Bob will be formally recognized as Sir Bob Bates. Bob came to Papua New Guinea as a 24-year-old civil engineer in 1964 and was engaged in the works department. He later applied his knowledge in the construction of roads and bridges and became an entrepreneur, especially in the highlands. He liked the people, the country, and he did what he had to do. And at this stage and age, Bob still flies, drives, and gets up early in the morning to put in a good day's work. There is no fading out into the twilight for this young Bob, Sir Bob Bates.
Drop a like or comment on this story later on the TV1 online website, Facebook, YouTube and TikTok. When we come back, PNG teen squash sensation doing well in European Junior Circuit. PNG's rising squash sensation, Timonalis Kribish, journey is not just about rankings, but sacrifice and national pride. Timonalis's mother, Papua New Guinean and Filipino. Her father is of German origin. At just 13 years old, Timonalis was ranked 2025 European Under-15 Girls number 5, an achievement in only her first full year competing on the European Junior Circuit. What makes her rise even more remarkable is where it all began.
The Port Moresby Rackets Club is where young squash prodigy Timonalis Kribish grew up, running around the squash courts as a toddler. In Papua New Guinea, squash is not widely played, hence only a small number of children take up the sport. It remains a discipline with limited competition pathways. But within that small community, her mother, Mel Alakos Kribish, said is where her daughter's passion for squash took root.
Port Moresby Rackets Club is a good family-oriented club. So Timonalis grew up running around at the club as a toddler. So she was very familiar with racket sports. She started with tennis and eventually took squash as her main sport when she moved down to Brisbane for her education.
Timonalis began playing tennis before discovering that squash was where her heart belonged. But in a country where squash has minimal exposure and a few junior players, her ambition quickly outgrew the opportunities available at home. Her development accelerated after moving to Australia in 2024, where she trained at the Daisy Hill Rackets Club under coach Bradley Hindle when attending school. There, surrounded by stronger competition and structured coaching, her potential flourished. The experience sharpened her skills and strengthened her belief that she could one day compete internationally.
My most recent achievements would be becoming 4th in Europe after a whole year. I'm top 5, top 4 in Europe, and another biggest achievement would be placing 24th in the British Junior Open. That's really good because the British Junior Open is one of the biggest tournaments in the world.
2 years later, Timonalis's father took on a job opportunity in Denmark and moved the family there. Adjusting to a new country, a higher level of competition required resilience. Timonalis says finding the right training environment meant stepping outside her comfort zone and rebuilding once again.
I train 5 days a week. On Monday, I train in my local club with one of my coaches, just a session. And then on Tuesdays, I go to Copenhagen, and I have a focused group session with certain kids. And after that, I go up to the gym and I have fitness. On Wednesdays, I go to Copenhagen again, and I have a private session with the national coach. And then after that, I go back up to the gym and I have another fitness session. On Thursdays, I have a group session with some of the senior guys in my local club. And on Fridays, sometimes I'll take a break on that day, or I'll have a solo session. On Saturday, I go back to Copenhagen and I have a group session with all the juniors.
Now training under Danish coach Thomas Pilak, Timona Lis travels an hour each way, 3 to 4 times a week to the nation's capital, Copenhagen, to train with the junior development squad. With limited high-level sparring partners in a local town, her family makes ongoing sacrifices, time, finances, and logistics to ensure she trains where she can be challenged.
I think we feel quite lucky in Herlev Hjorten Squash to have her on board. She's a really talented young player that has a lot of potential to be a future star. I think the time I've been working with her, she's being more physical. She's really good at taking in new technical aspects of the game. We're talking a lot about the tactical part of her improvement as well. I think there's some holes in there that we can fill out over time. Of course, she's still really young. She has to learn a lot about the squash in general. But I'm really looking forward to see her future progressing and what she can become of.
Her commitment has delivered results. Within just 1 year competing across Europe, Timona Lis climbed to number 5 in the under-15 girls rankings, a milestone she did not expect to reach so quickly. Despite training abroad, Timona Lis continues to proudly represent Papua New Guinea. Her achievements back in the country included Junior Female Sportsperson of the Year in both 2024 and 2025, a testament to her hard work and commitment at a young age, and particularly in a sport that remains small in PNG. Behind her European ranking lie real challenges: limited funding, international travel costs, long weekly commutes, and the difficulty in pursuing excellence in a sport with little domestic infrastructure.
When she gets out of the court and we feel like, oh, what should we say to her just to motivate her? She tends to pick up herself. In between the games, I don't need to say much. I wait for her to express herself, to say what do I need to do in my next game to win the match. She's growing in that stage. She analyzes her games, and I think she knows how to handle herself on the court. But all this is part of development, and letting them play on the court and going through those experiences helps her with this.
Yet each challenge has strengthened Timona Lis to make her dream a reality.
Another goal is to make the PNG team in the Tahiti Games and the Commonwealth Youth Games in Malta.
With upcoming appearances at the German Open and Malta Open, she continues building toward that goal. In a country where only a few children play squash, Timona Lis has emerged as one of Europe's best in her age group, proving that even from the smallest sporting communities, world-class dreams can grow. Timona Lis leaves a message for aspiring squash players back in PNG.
My message to young PNG squash players is that if you want to take it further and go further, you just keep playing your best and just have fun with it, because that's one of the most important parts, is to just have fun and just keep training and working hard and believe in yourself.
And that ends tonight's Scope. Visit the TV1 online website, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, and leave a like or comment on our Scope stories this evening. I'm Carol Kidu Jr. See you next time.